At last, Megan got a break. Her fortunes changed. Howie Mandel, a comedian and host of the TV show Deal or No Deal, watched her reel of one-liners and her audition. Her body and looks matched his requirements. She would be one of the 26 identically dressed hostesses on 5-inch stiletto heels squeezed into tight mini dresses to pronounce their figures, each carrying a briefcase. Her half-sister Samantha believed they must have stuffed her bra. Starting at 5:30 a.m., Megan was contracted until after nightfall. 7 episodes were filmed in one day. Each show paid $800. Between each episode, she would change clothes. "It's so embarrassing," she told her father. "It's exposure," he consoled her. "If you're spotted, you'll get another part. It'll take time to get there." Thomas knew that to win stardom, Hollywood expected Megan to do anything. In front of an audience and loud music, the show's seductive hostesses stood near contestants, carrying a briefcase containing between 1 cent and $1 million. After choosing one briefcase, the contestants were offered the deal: either sell the briefcase for a fixed sum or continue in the hope of choosing the briefcase with $1 million. Amid contrived tension, contestants were urged to take the risk. As ever in Hollywood, sexy young women attracted rich and powerful men. Among the visitors welcomed to the studio was Donald Trump. On the set between takes, the New York businessman handed out his card and invitations to visit his golf courses. Some girls accepted and will later say that Megan not only rejected Trump, but all the other invitations. Layla Milani, one of the other girls, would assert that Megan never went out after the shows, but read scripts for auditions. Megan was never interested in casual dating. She was always looking for commitment, wrote her approved biographer years later. Those recollections were contradicted by Brett Ratner, a successful Hollywood producer of the time. Ratner prided himself that Hillhaven Lodge, his Hollywood palace, famous as Ingrid Bergman's first home in America, was in those years the center of the universe, proudly telling everyone, "I'm fat and Jewish." Ratner had dated tennis champion Serena Williams for 2 years. Several times every week, Ratner hosted all-night parties for the stars: Johnny Depp, Leonardo DiCaprio, Penelope Cruz, and many more swished into his hilltop compound. "Tons of beautiful girls came," recalled a close friend of Ratner. "Among them every weekend were the game show girls. A dime a dozen was the common quip about party girls. Megan was one of those frequent guests. Among a clutch of stunning-looking women, she was memorable to a few unusually observant guests, as conservatively dressed and known to pose as an innocent. Yet she was usually among the last to leave as dawn broke." By the end of the Deal or No Deal show, Megan had lost her coyness. Dressed in hot pants and little else, she starred in the lifestyle magazine Men's Health, making burgers on a grill. The champion of women's empowerment later described those experiences as being objectified. Juggling her career, life with Trevor was good. Both enjoyed traveling abroad and eating the best food. They flew to Greece, Mexico, and Thailand to visit recommended restaurants. Although she barely earned enough to cover her own costs, Trevor's latest film scripts had earned him an income. The downside was that they still lived beyond the fringes of Hollywood's elite. Hollywood's powerful brokers were unaware they even existed. After rejection and snapshot appearances left on the cutting room floor, Megan was still looking for the big break. An audition by Donna Rosenstein, a rising TV producer and casting director, was a reward for Megan's perseverance. In a proposed series, The Apostles, She would play a former sex worker rescued by a Christian policeman who falls in love and marries her. In the series' plot, Megan played the part of an experienced young woman who argued with her husband and provided sex advice to her neighbors. Fox Studios rejected the pilot. Then she featured in a pilot for Good Behavior, a lighthearted series about a Las Vegas criminal family trying to become honest. That too was rejected. In her next part in 90210, a successful remake of the Beverly Hills series, she memorably performed oral sex in a parked car in a public area. After 2 episodes, she disappeared without explanation. Next, she was given a cameo appearance snorting cocaine in The Boys and Girls Guide to Getting Down. In 2009, she appeared in Get Him to the Greek. Robert Egbert of the Chicago Sun-Times called it a fundamentally sound movie, but missed Megan, who had no lines and was not given a credit. Even worse, her appearance in Fringe, a sci-fi film, was edited out. That was heartbreaking for her, recalled Nick Collins, her agent and a partner of the Gersh agency from the beginning. There are people who shut down when that happens, and other people who say, I can do it, I'm going to show them. Megan is in the second group. In Hollywood's ratings, any appearance in a series, even if the project was rejected, was marked a success. Casting agents noticed her string of appearances. Her reward for tenacity came in 2010. Brett Ratner contracted Megan for a 35-second appearance in his film Horrible Bosses. Cast as a FedEx delivery girl, Megan mixed for the first time with Hollywood's royalty, including Jennifer Aniston, Kevin Spacey, and Donald Sutherland. On the set of the profitable film, she introduced herself, Mr. Sutherland, I hear I'm going to fall in love with you before lunch break. He laughed. I resisted the very major urge to squeal, Megan wrote. Rating the film with 2 stars, The Guardian called it an occasionally amusing but mostly crude, charmless, and misjudged comedy. On the back of those experiences, Trevor cast her in small roles in his films The Candidate and Remember Me. Both flopped. 8 years into her bid for stardom, Megan recorded the horrors of her professional life in Working Actress, an anonymous blog. I'm not gonna lie, I've spent many days curled up in bed with a loaf of bread and some wine. A one-woman pity party. It's awful and ridiculous. On another evening, she continued, I've had to freeze my acting union membership, borrow money, work jobs that I hated, endure being treated like shit on a set, kiss actors with smelly breath, and cry for hours on end because I just didn't think I could take it anymore. The reasons for her rejection were common. Hollywood was full of good-looking, ambitious actresses, but very few had star quality. Critical to cinematic success was identity. Natural stars like Meryl Streep, Nicole Kidman, and Rachel Weisz projected a gravity onto the big screen to lock in the audience's eyes. Megan lacked charisma. On screen, she generated no magic. Although she was undoubtedly attractive, directors found her unexciting and ordinary. The audience's emotions and curiosity, they believed, would not be excited by her appearance. Like the vast majority of wannabes, Megan portrayed her own wants and needs, and not the requirements of the role. She was her own person. She could not convincingly become another person. She never played a part which she could adapt to herself. Lacking natural mystery, she remained a B actress, struggling with one-liners that might end up on the cutting room floor. No thanks after an audition fueled Megan's belief that the casting director had not understood her. She needed to try harder, and the next day would certainly be different. In Hollywood, rejection was not a stigma or humiliation. After 5 years, her reel was substantial. Jobbing actors, she was reassured, earned a good income from constant employment. Repeatedly, she looked for explanations as the rejections piled up. I wasn't black enough for the black roles, she wrote, and I wasn't white enough for the white roles, leaving me somewhere in the middle, as the ethnic chameleon who couldn't book a job. In an article for Elle in 2015, Megan described how she was asked every week of her life, often every day, what she was and where she came from, as people struggled to place her ethnicity. Rather than accept she was not an outstanding actress, she stressed, "It was the first time I put a name to feeling too light in the black community, too mixed in the white community." 5 years later, she rephrased her story. In Allure magazine, she dated her first realization of colorism during an African American studies class at Northwestern. Thomas disputes this. Race was never an issue throughout Megan's childhood, insists Thomas Markle, or her years in Hollywood. I was surprised when she brought it up. With the exception of the box at school and a driver shouting at Doria, Megan never mentioned race. Megan, he insisted, was never the underdog. Similarly, Thomas Markle insists that Megan never blamed racism for rejection at auditions. "Didn't come up," he said. In mid-2010, Nick Collins sent his client for an audition in an office block in Santa Monica, Los Angeles. The American producers were looking for an attractive young woman to play Rachel Zane, an aspiring lawyer unable to pass the exams. In the low-budget soap series set in a New York law firm, Zane would have an affair with Mike Ross, a brilliant young man with a photographic memory. Called Suits, Aaron Korch, the 43-year-old writer of the Potential series, based on the narrative of his 5 years on Wall Street, Korch had quit his bank to work for 8 years as an assistant writer in a film production company. On the verge of giving up, he took a gamble to write Suits, built on his experiences on Wall Street. Loyalty within a family of employees was Korch's forceful theme. Bankers were portrayed being asked to do things in the office that offended their morality, but loyalty, a two-way street, compelled them to oblige. After reading the script, the producers suggested Korch switch the drama to a lawyer's office. Once adapted, the producers started auditions for the pilot. Korch had no image for the part of Rachel Zane, except that she was intelligent, likable, worldly wise, sexy, and to match the loyalty theme, totally trustworthy. Her role required that she would go to any lengths to help those she was working with. Rachel Zane's loyalty dilemma was profound. Mike Ross, a self-serving, beguiling fraudster, lacked any loyalty, yet he invoked loyalty to demand a favor from honest Rachel Zane. Korch explored how Zane reacted to the danger of violating her ethical boundaries. The parallel conundrum was whether Mike's outstanding qualifications made him a better human being. As a last-minute thought about the part before the audition, Megan ditched a colorful jumper and jeans and bought a $35 little black dress. "I don't think I did a good job," she lamented to Nick Collins afterwards. "I really wanted that part." Back in his Santa Monica office, Korch was excited. "We all looked at each other," he recalled, like, "Wow, this is the one." I think it's because Megan had the ability to be smart and sharp without losing her sweetness. Although the producers agreed they would seek diversity among the cast, Korch recalls, "I didn't know that Megan was mixed race when she was piloted. She was just the best." Korch's admission challenges Megan's complaint that her career had been stymied by her color. Cast on 24th August 2010, Megan shot the pilot in New York and, as usual, waited to hear whether a network would buy the series. At the beginning of 2011, Megan was told that USA Network, a cable corporation, had commissioned one season of 12 episodes. Years of hustling paid off. She would earn a regular income of $50,000 per episode. That would be $600,000 after 9 months' work. Reflecting on her earlier pessimism, she explained, "It was a really good lesson in perspective. I think we are always going to be our own worst critics." There was one surprise. To save money, filming would start in April in Toronto, and not as anticipated in New York. Every member of the cast was upset, except Megan. To the producer's bemusement, Megan was keen to set up her permanent home in Toronto, rather than commute like all the other actors from Los Angeles. Unexpectedly, she also revealed that she would stay in Toronto beyond November, after filming ended. Leaving Los Angeles in Trevor, Megan told the producers, was not a downside. She did not explain why she wanted to leave Los Angeles. One friend speculated that she had agreed that Trevor's super cheesy, like a guy who wears those Adidas slippers with a suit to a fancy event. Another friend suggested that while Megan could commit herself to Trevor, she did not like being possessed. Megan needed to be in total control. If necessary, Suits was her get-out card from the relationship.